Hello, good evening, and welcome to Omi Inca's production studio. And we are live. I'd like for you to go down and subscribe, tell somebody about my show, share and like, and give us those two thumbs up. You can also ring the bell so that you can know when I'm going to be on the station. We're going to be talking about a rather heated topic tonight. It pertains to our hero program. You know how we do. We bring in home economic related occupations, and this is in the family category. So it definitely concerns us and any other families out there that are African Americans. Let me first precedence the fact that African Americans believe in the village concept, and every child is every person's concern. We don't have the luxury like other denominations or nationalities have, where they mind their own business. Children that are being taken and abused, or children that are being exposed, we usually stick our 2 cents in because we're African Americans. We believe in the communal concept. And I'm going to be speaking to you from that perspective, that we are communal people and we are usually in the village assisting and aiding other mothers in helping them to learn about what is age appropriate. And today I'm going to be teaching a little bit about what's age appropriate. It seems that some of us didn't take Home Economics 101, and I'm going to have to remind a few people that there are things that are age appropriate for our children. It's okay that we support our children to a certain extent. We should also inform our children what is ethical and what is acceptable, not just in society, but in the African Americans race in general, because what one of us do affects the whole nation of the tribe. And we are trying to live more tribal rather than doing what we see others do. We cannot, or we should not have the luxury of stepping outside of those boundaries to do what other cultures do. We've been through something, and we cannot think that white supremacists has stopped and ceased and exist. They have not ceased and exist. And it still goes on in our community, and we have to protect our children out there. We have a large problem with children trafficking, not to mention sex and predatory sex acts that are done on children. Children have to be protected. That's why we have the Family and Children's Services that goes out and they literally look for predators that might be engaging in inappropriate behavior in households with children, and they target them and they assess them and they go in and take the child out for the safety of that child when that child is engaging in some age appropriate things. They do that for those mothers that are male treating these children who children come up abused or hurt. Now, let me say this, not that Gabrielle or Wade are doing any physical abuse to the child, but we're looking at the potential dangers of the child not being age appropriate to make decisions about his sexuality. Children are vulnerable enough. So when they go into the schools, other children are very cruel and they know what it is to bully other people that are different. That child can be exposed to a large amount of bullying to the point that it might become dangerous for him to even go to school and tell someone, I am considering changing my sex. Most children know that you don't get to choose what your sex is. You just be, and it becomes. And you have to become that sex that you are. Now, let me also point out, when a child gets ready to make a decision about what his sex is, he should have already used his tools. And if he hasn't used his tools, how does he know he doesn't want them? How can someone tell you, I don't want to use my vagina because I feel like I want to be a boy, if you don't know what it is that it feels like to be feminine and be a woman? And how could someone say, I want to become a woman when you've never learned what it is to have a phallus and use your penis. So a mother must help that child and say, son, you've never started dating and you've never kissed a girl before. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience to be able to embrace someone that you truly love with a kiss on the cheek or maybe on the lips. And then when you get older, where you are at the age of consent, you can think about sexual intercourse and you can read about the joy and excitement of being in love and how two people that are in love that are of age of consent can engage in sex. Right now, you're not at the age of consent where you can engage in sex. So why are you thinking about removing your phalluses and not having a penis? Why are you thinking about wearing things that a girl wears when you haven't even dressed up in your first suit? You must, mother, Dewayne and Gabrielle, you must have that discussion with your child about the glorious moments that he might be giving away, all in exchange about what he heard or what he saw. That is quite different from his own experience. Now, could Gabrielle and Wade be setting their child up for danger by thinking the child has fully developed in the brain and he hasn't? 12-year-old's brain is not fully developed yet. There is a lot of growth that takes place through the growth hormones. So why would you want to mess require to grow a breast and to shape his body in a rounded fashion? Why must he go through those changes to change his anatomy? To appeal to who? Is he trying to appeal to the same sex that he is so that they would want him? Because he doesn't know anything about how do you appeal to another sex because he hasn't engaged in dating. Now, if this child's been doing a lot of dating at 12 and he's way beyond the age of consent and he's doing things that normal 12-year-olds doesn't do, please let us know about it and correct us. But a 12-year-old is not engaging in sex. Can a 12-year-old get someone pregnant? Yes, he probably can. He probably does have sperm that he's shooting out. But at the same time, has he ever been in a love affair where he can understand the joys of sex and he can appreciate his penis? Why talk to him about getting rid of his penis when he hasn't even had enough experiences to enjoy the penis? Now, we've gone a little bit too far. And let me first of all make precedence. We are Black folks. Black folks do speak into the lives of other Black folks when they're way off base. And on this one, Wade and Gabrielle, you're way off base. What are you trying to do by exposing this young boy to the general population saying, hey, my son want to make an announcement? That's a private thing. You may want to discuss that with your immediate family, not in public, because what you're doing is hanging your child out to dry. Now there are predators that are around him, and they know that he's made this announcement. And you better believe they're going to be going after him, whether online or in person, where they make phone calls and call your child out to be a stud. So, or call her out to be a prostitute if she's switching from a boy to a girl. You don't want your child to become promiscuous because that's what will happen. This will lead to a promiscuous attitude and behavior. You are not thinking sound, Wade or Gabrielle. You know what it once was when you had your very first kiss. You didn't know what to think of it. You were fickle. You laughed a lot. And you said, oh, I like the way it feels. Maybe I want to kiss again. Now, but you probably weren't engaging in sex, not at 12 years old. Okay? So if he's had some heartbreaks and some failures in relationship and people that were male hurt him and he no longer wants to be a male and he wants to venture over to the female side, that would be a different discussion for a different time. But he's 12 years old. He's not 18 years old, or he's not 50 years old where he's sick of relationship. He haven't had enough experiences to even feel like that. Now, I want to talk to you about the ages and stages of a child. We cannot, we must not inappropriately put children in positions that they cannot handle. Age and appropriate activities would be a preschooler wouldn't be talking about sex, and you wouldn't be talking about sexuality with the preschool. You would be talking about the cycles of life and how all animals go through the cycles of life. You equate them with the world around them. Now, if your son is 12 years old, he now ready to become a transgender, and he knows he wants to become a transgender. How would he know unless he's had an opportunity of being a full man? And if he's never been a full man, executing, dating women, having many sexual counterparts, engaging in sex, and then saying, I don't like it, I want to get rid of this penis, is not what I want. If you haven't had that opportunity, why would you allow this child to come to you and you support him and saying, yes, get rid of that penis, you don't need it, it's a problem, get rid of it? No. One thing you're forgetting is that it is the man child is the legacy that will leave for your namesake, so that that child can go on producing children in the name of Dewayne Wade Jr. or what have you. But for you to let him go to society to make this announcement, now society is looking at you like a queer. What is really behind the minds of Dewayne Wade and Gabrielle Union? And now the child has changed his name to replicate that he's a feminine girl. We have to stop these things and say, son, that's not appropriate. In his house, whatever God chose to make us, that's who we have to work towards being. To deny yourself from being who God created you would be you making these decisions as if you were God. And what if you made a mistake? Maybe that was just a hunch you were having or a feeling on that Thursday. So now it's Saturday. You got another whole feeling. Oh, I want to keep my penis because it's great being a boy. It's too late then. You don't have the opportunity of vacillating back and forth. You'll go back and forth. You don't have that opportunity. And mothers, even if you are not the biological mother of that child, you as an adult are held obligated to protect that child from their thoughts. The only thoughts that he would have in the sexual category would come from children chatting who are ignorant and who don't have all the facts. And you have to set them straight with the facts coming from you and Dewayne as adults. That child will take on your thoughts and your belief. If you will sit down with him enough and tell them, what are your thoughts and what are the dangers that could become of him in making that transgender change? He might be cited for a beatdown. He could even be cited for somebody, a predator online who is trying to get him jammed up and involved in sexual activities. You have to tell him the dangers of making a decision impromptu, because he has not developed and he has not grown up enough to make those kind of decisions about a transgender change. We as African Americans have a right to say something, because in our sight, Dewayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, you are just like a president would be. You cannot be pulled into jail for destructive of the peace when you want to make laughter of the president. And you sure cannot be hauled in because you give your opinion about something that one of our stars or heroes is doing. We have a right to say something. So for you to say, Oh, you need to mind your own business. Your business is our business. Was when you got in front of the screen and start acting, you became our business, like it or not. So all this stuff about our respect, Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's decision to support their child. Support their child in what? Did the child bring them any facts about what he's researched? Did he do his due diligence and finding out what is involved with the sex change, the hormones that you have to take, and the surgery? Has he did any of that research? Because ultimately, if he wants to become a woman, he has to lose his phallus. He has to get rid of it. He can no longer go around here hanging, saying that he is a girl, because he's going to confuse someone and they're going to get awfully mad to know that he still has his sex organs and he's calling himself a girl. Now, is it your intention to allow him to go through the full transgender process of taking the hormone pills, going to the doctor, taking the psychological counseling to get his mind ready to now think you're no longer a boy, you're going in the girls' restroom, you're sitting down on the toilet, and you're not just standing up there with no phallus? Okay, those are things that you have to get a child ready for. You shouldn't be going to the public to discuss this. You probably haven't even had your first counseling session about the joys of making a transition for your transgender child. You don't know if those side effects will outweigh the benefits of you going in and saying that you are going to change your sex. You might find out that all of the procedures that you have to take are so risky, and the side effects can cause you a lot of problems. Excuse me here. The side effects can cause you a lot of problem, to the point where you might find out that the cons outweigh the pros. There's a whole process that you have to go through. You just don't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a transgender. I'm going to change my sex from a boy to a girl. No, no. You might have money and have everything, but this might be one of those opportunities where they are creating an opportunity to have less men that are shooting their bullets to make children. If we can get these children to give up their sex organs, that we don't have to worry about them becoming a man, actually producing more babies in the world that are of the African American race. Don't you realize, Wayne, you are going to lose your opportunity to reproduce yourself through your child. You live through your child. Now, if you don't think that much of yourself and you never wanted to be a man, by golly, it's going to be transmitted to that boy. But if you're all men and you think highly of your phallus and the ability to produce children from your phallus, and how you was hoping for a male child so he could carry your name on and he can continue the process of delivering Dwayne Wade children in this continent. But if you have fallen down on what you think about black men and you think they have a hard time, and if you are thinking that maybe he'll have a better life being a female, how could you believe that when a male child has always been held out to be the most important person in the family, not the female? So you don't know your history. Most kings come into existence by way of the male child stepping up to the plate to become a king. It's very difficult for that female child to come into that position, because she cannot stand up and put a group of warriors together to fight for that kingdom. You have to honor your kingdom and have a male child to precede you to continue the fight. So if you give up the fight, who and what females are going to stand up to those people that are trying to invade your camp, Dewayne? Remember, you're a warrior. Remember, you are about these things because you are fighting on the basketball court And have you changed your mind about your about your sexuality, your heterosexuality? And people will be looking at you a little cross-eyed and say, what is going on with Dwayne Wade? That is his first male child. Why would he allow something like that to go on in his household? They're going to be judging you, Dwayne, and you're going to have to answer to a lot of people. And you can't tell us it's not our business, because once you walked out there on that basketball court, everyone has a right. You are for the taking. Everyone has a right to discuss your livelihood, what you make, how you run your household, your children, and what they do. You have put yourself on the pedestal for these attacks. You cannot say no one has a right to speak against me because my life is private. Your life becomes public once you become a public spectacle. And you are a public spectacle through your basketball playing. And Gabrielle, you need to discuss with that mother, that child's biological mother. Are you okay with this? This is your child, your biological child. What do you feel? Tell us your opinion. You cannot go against that woman. That is her biological child, and she's known him all his life as a male child. For you to upset her world and to allow that child to do something that she would never, never support would cause more grief in that child than you'll ever know, because you've hurt his mother. And now that child will hate you for hurting his mother. He will never be the child that you want him to be if you go against what his biological mother wants. You must consider her opinion on this. That is her biological child. And Gabrielle, you are just in a mixed relationship. And if you have all these wild dreams about let the child do what they want to do, who knows what else you would let them do or let them try. If they can get away with convincing you why they need to have a sex change, the next time they'll say, oh, mom, I think I need to try a little bit of cocaine. You know, it'll pep me up, or I can feel myself doing better if I had a little cocaine. And you're going to say, go right ahead. Go right ahead. It might make you feel better. No, that we have to draw the line. That's not acceptable. This isn't acceptable. I can't support this. And we have to be able to say that to those children that we love. Now, if that child is not your biological child and you really don't love him like that, and you're just raising him, but you have to understand when you're raising a child, even if it's not your child, you have got to tell him the right thing. And even if he don't like what you're saying, you got to tell him the truth. We got too many people around here speaking out of both sides of their mouth about the situation, saying that they support you and Dewayne, Gabrielle, and your support to stand behind your 12-year-old son because he wants to become a transgender. And then on one hand, they're saying that you're exposing that child to dangers out there on the internet and to predators. Yes, you're exposing that child to potential dangers. And if they come and slam that child and beat that child in the streets because somebody has reported openly that he is now for the taking, you would have exposed that child to that beating. Or if they take his life, you would have exposed that child to losing his life. You can't always know what a child is thinking. You cannot go by the fact that a child wants one thing today and another thing tomorrow. You've got to do the thinking for him until he gets to the age of consent. Now, if he was 18 years old and he told you this, you might want to listen and say, well, he is grown after all. He has to bear his own burdens and live with them. But he can choose to have a transgender change at 12 years old and make a decision to do this and make the wrong decision. But guess who has to live with it? You, parents. You can't put him out the house and say, no, I want you out of here. He is underage. You must then support that mistake that you created and made. I don't know what's getting into Black people. We are not white, and we're not on probation to be white. We cannot pick up the LGB tactic and run with it because they have killed us for wanting to pass for white, let alone talking about transgender. Yes, they have their groups and they welcome you to their group to be a transgender, but that is just a fad that they are using to get our black men to become more feminine and less masculine. Dwayne Wade, you appear to be a masculine young man. Build that masculinity in your son and tell him the joys of looking at his muscles as he pumped them up. Tell them how you stay in shape and how you will fit for basketball and how masculinity is what black men are hated for because of their masculinity. Now, is he becoming more feminine because he don't have the muscles? Then show him how to get the muscles and tell them that that's what men do. They get in the gym and they work it out. They have testosterone and they sweat and they have sperm, and those sperm produce children that are named after their predecessor, their fathers. And it's a joy to be a masculine man to produce children. You must have that talk with them, Dwayne. And you must take some time to think, is it about the money that they're going to bestow upon your son? And will they give him endorsements because he's doing this? He's going to get paid. We've got to stop accepting filthy lucre, all in the name of trading our sons over to the enemy, giving our sons away to femininity. We are to build our sons up to be masculine men. We don't break them down and say it's okay to be a feminine. You're a softy now. I've brought you up being a male. So do you tell me that everything I've ever done from the time you were born is all wrong? Did God make a mistake in bringing you here as a boy? God don't make no mistakes. And that child is young enough to hear you now, to tell him that God didn't make this decision for you to become a female. You're making this decision, and your ways are a little bit lower than God's ways. God's ways are higher than yours, and we got to lean on God's understanding and not on our own, because you can't take this back once you make that journey to transition into a female. And you don't just get to choose when you want to be a female and when you don't want to be. And because you're a child and you are not thinking straight for yourself, I must step in and think for you. Now, Dewayne and Gabrielle, are you telling me that because your child told you he wants to be a transgender, you just went with it? Did you not tell them, did you not tell him that you are not at the age of consent? I will not support you in this because you are just 12 years old. When you get to the age of 18, if you still feel this way, maybe we will be able to consider talking to you about this transitional change. But right now, because you stay in my household and you're still a child and I'm still responsible for you, I'm not going to let you do the ungodly thing and change what God has created. It might be a sin before God for this whole household, for us to support you in something that is premature and that is made by a child and not an adult. Yes, 12 years old is a child. They're not at middle school years yet, and they're not 14 or 15, and they cannot even begin to think about sexual intercourse. Must he lose out on the privilege of sexual intercourse so when he become of age, he will miss that opportunity of using his phallus because he's gotten rid of it? And who in their right mind that's black would have ever said, Mom, I want to get rid of this penis that's in the way. You got to find a way so I can get it cut off. Who in their right mind? Only somebody who made an accident and cut their penis off that we know of. And he's regretting it for accidental. Now, if we allow this thing to go on, the agenda that LGBTQ are pushing is on the way. It is in full force. Now they're going to our athletes and our heroes for them to set precedents. For them to set precedents, then for us to follow their lead. We won't follow your lead, Dewayne, Gabrielle. We won't follow your lead because your lead is not a good, sound one. You are not using sound judgment with your child. He is not even a middle schooler or a high schooler. He's a child. You are not using sound judgment just because he told you he wants that. How many times did he ask for things that you knew he shouldn't deserve or you couldn't give him for the fears of the side effects that might follow? Well, think about it. If you put your child out there, he's a target. He's a target for all homosexuals to come and approach him. And he's out there for the taking. He's young and impressionable, and a lot of prostitution start that way. She'll start prostituting her body to try to see if she can get that feeling, and using her new vagina. Okay, she's out there now. You can't stop her. Men are constantly running up behind her, and she's laying with all kinds of men. Now look at what you created. You created a promiscuous woman who could soon become a prostitute. And you didn't mean to do that. You were just following suit on the fact that he wanted to be a she. And you thought you were supporting him in his decision to convert his body over, knowing that he didn't know what he was talking about, knowing that he didn't have enough experience. Are you trusting his judgment that he has enough sense to know what sexual preferences really mean? You haven't even had your first orgasm yet. So how are you telling your mom, I want to get rid of this penis? How do you know you want to get rid of that penis? Has that penis offended you in any way? Has it gotten you in any trouble? Has it broken up any relationships with you? No. Then why do you want to get rid of a perfectly masculine penis that God has given you to use to be able to produce sperms that will recreate your lineage and you after your own kind? Does that mean you're trying to stop developing your own kind? You don't want to have any more children after you? Now, if you had a lot of mistakes in producing a lot of babies and said, oh, I don't want no more babies, let me get rid of this phallus, let me get rid of it, it's bad news. But you haven't even produced a child. How do you know that you don't want to produce a child? How do you know that that penis is worthless? That penis is the best thing you got going for you. If most women could have become a boy, they think it in their mind every now and then, oh, I would have liked to become a boy because he's treated better. But they only have a flash of that once in a while. They're not seriously thinking about going and saying, I want a sex operation, make me into a boy, I need a phallus. See, we've got this thing all wrong. And if somebody's giving us a shipload of money or a boatload of money for our child to make this decision, you don't have the right to stand up and say, take it, son. They're giving you the money. You know why? Because Children and Family Services should protect those children like that, whose mothers are money hungry or fathers are money hungry. They need to step in and say that the parents is being vulnerable and they're subjecting that child. Just because of the money that's supporting it, they're subjecting that child to dangers. Because, see, it doesn't stop there when they offer you a shipload of money to allow them to exploit you. It doesn't stop there. The exploiting continues to go on. And these so-called rich people who are not billionaires yet are doing everything to get those extra digits behind their name, even if they have to prostitute their children. Don't do it, mothers. Don't do it, Wade. Don't do it, Gabrielle. It's a form of prostituting your children. And we've got too many children that are in the social service division who have now been converted to sex queens. And they're prostituting the children for monies. And that's what they'll eventually start doing to these children that make the conversion of transgender. And these children will want to cry out at night for their mommies to come and get them. But they've been seen as an adult. They're no longer children, and they have no one to cry out to. And these people that are putting them in this position of becoming sex symbols, they are betting them like an adult. So this child's mind is messed up, psychologically messed up, because they don't know what to feel or what to think. All they know is somebody is getting them in an awkward position and they're having to bend over and they don't like it very much. And they don't know how to maintain their bodies. They're not like adults. Please remember this. They are not like adults. They still are children and they still want to be held and loved. And mothers, you can't turn them out. Gabrielle, I know it's not your biological child, but you need to go and sit down and have a long talk with the mother. Maybe the mother is broke and she needs some money, and maybe she might be going along with it because she wants to get that shipload of money. Let me tell you something. That is the beginning of your problems. Okay? A child's mental state is one that you don't actually know how it's going to turn out. They may be psychologically deranged and may become mentally depressed, manic depressive behind all of these sex changes. And you don't know what the outcome of the surgery may be. You got to use some good judgment here, Dewayne and Gabriel, because you can be held accountable for anything that happens to that child while under your supervision. And don't think that if you and the child get in a quarrel, he thinks he's grown now because you've given him all these privileges. Now he wants to do other things and you won't let him. Then now you're ready to lay the hammer down and say, no, you can't. Then they're going to come at you and you're going to have your own child fighting you like an adult, coming against you because you are not supporting him in other foolish things that he wants to do. Now, I want to say to the general public, as an educator and child life educator, I'm concerned about the child and everyone that has children or is in a communal lifestyle must speak out against this because we cannot have our so-called entertainers and basketball stars being an example for the world to see, and we get behind him and support these two people in this. No, we must not support them in this. We must cry loud and spare not and lift up our voices like a trumpet and say, no, it's wrong. We won't support you in this. And we will tell the world that we don't believe that you ought to get behind this child, to allow this child to make this decision at such an early age when he's impressionable. And people can impress upon him. If you do this, we're going to pay your way through college. We're going to give you an endowment and we're going to support you. No, mother, you are prostituting your child. You cannot let them take any endorsement money or let anyone come to him in that manner. Gabrielle, I know you're not feeling like you're the biological mother, but you better do the right thing, girl, or hell is going to come down on you. Speak out like a mother would and tell this child what's right. And tell him that he's not at the age of consent and that right now he cannot make those kind of decisions for himself. And you must protect that child or else the social service will. Because when he starts getting into trouble in school about wearing dresses or the way he behaves, he will become I won't even say prodigy. He will become a problem child in school. People bullying him all the time, him getting suspended, and you would have set him up for this because they're gonna come after them. Because a lot of children knows what's right and what's wrong, and they will come and approach him, and they will ostracize him. I know this. He's different. He's not like us. He's not one of us. I don't want him with us. He's gay. I don't want him with us. He can't be on my team. Don't anyone vote for him on your team. Now he's an ostracized child at school where he cannot play on basketball or baseball teams with the children. Now he has no friends that believe in him. So he becomes weird. He starts hanging out with the weirdos. He starts acting like the weirdos and doing promiscuous things like utilizing his new vagina to allow men to take advantage of him. A lot of stuff can happen with promiscuous ways. And you think you open up the door for your child to like you because you supported him in his dull thinking? You've got to tell a child that is stinking thinking, and I'm not supporting you in that. And don't even try to ask me again because I will not support you in that false thinking. But we've got so many people that are parents that want to be liked by their children. They want to be their children's friends, and they want their children to accept they want their children to love them. So they want to be their friends, the child's friend. You cannot be your child's buddy. You are your child's mother. You are there for protection and guidance. You cannot be your child's friends. So quit trying to hang out with your child and getting your child to like you. Because your child will like you today, and tomorrow you'll be last minute's news, and they'll be against you. Children are up and down, and they don't like parents who are old and fogey, and they will tell you, you're old, you can't make any decision. And they will put you down even after you have okayed the biggest thing in their life, and that is becoming a transvestite. And now they hate you. Why did you let me do that, Mom? You know I didn't know what I was doing. Why did you let me tell you that I wanted to have a sex change? Why did you let me tell the world about me wanting to become a girl? Why, Mom? You should have stopped me. I hate you. I hate you. Now you're looking at, but I did it for you, son. I did it for you. I thought that's what you wanted. No, it's not what I wanted. I wanted you to tell me no. But you said, yes, Mom. You're the blame. You're the blame that everyone hates me at school. You're the blame that no one wants me around on the basketball court. I don't have a life with you guys anymore. I'm running away. I'm leaving you. I'm not staying here anymore. Then your child is gone and he's out in the streets because you thought you were doing something right and you wanted to please your child. So you gave him all of his desires and you didn't step in and say, no, child, you don't really want that. That's wrong. No, child, I cannot support you in that. But you just went ahead and said yes for the sake of saying yes because you didn't want to lose him. And ultimately, you lost him anyway. Mothers, we got to be thinkers. We got to be keen thinkers because children are sharp and they're on their toes and they are thinking faster than you ever know. And they will become your enemy. The Bible even talks about children turning against the mothers and their fathers. And you'll become their enemy. And you'll say, well, I thought that I was doing the right thing. And then you'll say, well, I should have stood up and I should have been a real mother. I should have put my foot down. It's too late now. If you spare the rod, you spoil the child. When a child starts speaking to you like that, you start getting some psychological testing done. Is there something mentally going wrong with my child? Why would he think that he wants to be a transgender? Why would he think that he wants to be like mom? Am I being too impressionable on this child? Am I exposing him to too many feminine ways? Do he need to spend more time with his father to learn about the masculine ways? Maybe he does. Maybe he's only seen females and they're around him making and setting examples too much. Maybe he do need to be with his father. Wayne, maybe you need to take your son on some male bonding trips. Maybe you do need to spend more time with him and make sure he's exposed to the masculine things. Why did he get like this? Was it because of your lack of presence and you weren't in the home enough? And Gabrielle, why did you let him stop spending time with your son? Why didn't you tell Dewayne, we must have you come in and spend some time with this young boy? Because he needs a male image. Only iron sharpens iron. Maybe he spent too much time with Gabrielle and he picked up the feminine ways. That can be changed overnight with a few outings with your son, Dewayne, with a few engagements with your son. You could change his mind, show him a life on the town of being a male and a good old boys club. I bet you he'll forget about wanting to be a girl. He'll say, forget that girl stuff. I'm not trying to be no girl. I'm all man. I'm masculine. I'm like my dad, and I like hanging out with him. We go rifle shooting, and we go quail shooting, and then we go out on the town together. I love being a male. You got to give him something to make him feel like he got something to hold on to. But if you make him think that this is just a girl's world and all they're doing is having fun and having tea and you just playing along because you got nothing to do, and pretty soon you get stuck in that rut of being a girl. Well, get out of that rut. You got a father. And Dewayne, you must present yourself as a father. And you must tell him, you're hanging out with me this weekend, son. We're doing some male bonding. You got to start doing that. You need to go to therapy. If you don't have anybody to counsel, come to me. I can counsel you back into shape, because it is the greatest thing to be with your father and know that you're all male and that you enjoy being a male. But once you find out all the girly things that are gory that you don't like, a girl's menstrual period that you don't like to be around, you might not be menstruating, but you'll wonder why you're not menstruating like the other girls. Now, once again, you're going to be odd. Well, you guys get your period. You wear Kotex and tampons. I don't get a period. Am I a real girl or what? I'll never be a real girl. I can't ever be a real girl. And I am not all inspired about being a girl because I cannot do anything that a girl does. Yes, I may have breasts and wear a bra, but I don't have a menstrual. So I am not a girl. He'll say it with his own mouth. And then the other girls will say, well, you're right. You can never have a menstrual period if you got a transgender operation. You won't have a period and you'll never be able to have babies like us. He might say, well, that's a good thing. I don't want a baby. I don't want that. But at the same time, he wants all those things that are equated to being a feminine girl. But fathers, Dewayne, maybe you're on the road too much. Maybe you need to come off the road. Gabrielle, you guys paint a pretty picture of everything is well in your house. You paint a pretty picture that everything is going down well. You are fooling society. Quit fooling society. We believe in you two people. We watch you on television and we support you. Now you've got to make us believe in you by doing the right thing. Dewayne, you're too caught up into all of this opportunity to make money. It's not all about money at the expense of your child. And I hope and pray you're not giving your child up for an endorsement and giving him over to society, because now they got your child. They'll feed you all the money you want. You'll be rich, you think. But just as your money goes to the bag, there's a hole and the money will be coming out the bottom, because you cannot prostitute your children. You cannot prostitute your children. Did you hear me, Gabrielle? God won't allow you to. He'll send the ancestors back for you. He will chastise you. He will chasten you, because children are not up for sale and they are not to be used as sexual tools. And ultimately, this is what your child will get into. It's not just because he want to wear girly things and feel feminine. Oh yeah, they're going to say, you're not really a girl, are you? Well, why don't you prove it? You're not really a girl. I heard you had a sex change. Now they're going to want to test it out. They're going to want to use her as a mockery to prove that homosexuals are queer. And they want to say, oh, she's queer. She's not even a real girl. And they're going to tell everybody around the campus that they've had you and you have a fake vagina. Now you got all this stuff to contend with. Look at how this snowball picks up momentum and rolls down the hill and catches everything in its sight. You're going to be in for some trouble, 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 trouble. Yes, you are. Because you're doing something that's outside of the will of God. Because you're tampering with creation and you're acting as if they have a choice and that your money will allow you to make these kind of decisions. I don't care how much money you're making. You'll never be able to make enough money to do things and take things out of perspective that God has put in place. What God has put in place, let no man disrupt it. And disrupting that child's life may cost him his life. He could have side effects from the hormones. He can start having problems with the surgery. Then you would have exposed him to all of these things just trying to go along to get along. You have to learn to tell your children no. Some things they come to you with are absolutely big, round no. No, we don't do that. No, you can't do those things. No, I'm not supporting you in that. Whenever you have the opportunity to say yes to your child, then say yes on simple things like, Mom, could I have another bowl of ice cream? Yes, Sean. Why, sure. Go ahead and have a second bowl. Mom, can I go roller skating? Why, yes, child. Exercise all you want. Say yes to those things that you know is going to put a smile on their face. But these things, such as getting their organs changed and replicated, it could be dangerous. It could be side effect. And you may have put your child in a position to bleed to death, or in a position that now he has to be on meds the rest of his life. You can't take a chance on this new science. We as Black people are not all geared up for this transvestite. You know, it all started with a lot of Hispanics and people who were getting paid to get their skin peeled and to get the sex change, because now they could use these people. They were no more use, and they gave them large sums of money and their whole life changed. Money can be the beginning of your detriment. And Dwayne Wayne and Gabrielle, you don't know if this is going to open up a whole Pandora's box for you by bringing your child to a platform to tell the world that he's coming out. You should have kept that to yourself. That is nobody's business because you haven't worked things out yet. You might not feel the same way next week, and you might not want to go along with it. But money makes people do foolish, foolish things. I hope you didn't take a whole shipload of endorsement money and now you're having your child go out there because that's what they want you to do. Now, how many other basketball stars are going to run up behind you and follow you? How many other basketball stars are going to now be privy to getting this shipload of money so in their off season they're going to exploit their children? How many? How many? Tell me how many? Because God is not pleased with that. You might be an all-star, but you could be an afterthought when it comes to God looking at you prostituting your children. When it comes to God trying to get your attention, trying to tell you something before you wreck yourself, you're headed for destruction. You're headed for destruction when you start exploiting children and not thinking about the consequences that will have to be paid. We must realize that this is not a fad for Black people. This is abomination. Black people used to know where they stood on homosexuality and sex changes. It was abomination for us. And we know where we stood on it. And we could not bring this type of lifestyle home to our family. They weren't having it. And don't tell me it's not your family's business. We're your family, extended family. And it's our business, even though we're not biologically related to you, Wade or Gabriel. We are family members of the Black race. And when something is wrong in the Black race, we must stand up and speak out against it because we are each other's keeper. And you're my brother's keeper, and I am your keeper. And we must speak out against this because we speak with one voice. Now everybody is individual, and they want to have their own opinion and frame their own thoughts, not knowing how it will hurt the African race, not knowing how it will affect the African race. Now, I want to say that you broadcasters need to speak out about this. You need to speak out about this, and you need to do it quick, fast, and in a hurry, because our people are losing their ever-loving minds, ever-loving mind. And we've got to know when something is wrong. We've got to know, and we've got to say when something is wrong. And we cannot hide our faces and let the Caucasians set up an agenda for us that we are accepting because we want to be friends with that group and we don't want them to be angry at us. Well, just think when your black race turn their back on you and don't want anything to do with you. That's the worstest feeling in the world. See, you got to face them every day, but you do not have to face all the Caucasians every day. So I'm speaking to somebody other than Gabrielle and Wayne Wade because this type of thing is getting ready to skyrocket. You're going to see so much of it that you're going to be sick. And I am an advocate for the children. I think the children need to be protected. I think that Wayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's child needs to be sponsored. Somebody needs to keep an eye on him and watch what is going on because Wayne Wade and Gabrielle, they are adults and they should have better sense to know that you don't give your children over to an agenda. And that is, everyone knows there's an agenda out there for black males to become feminine and put on a dress. And everybody knows that that is the agenda that's going forward. And it is unfolding in such a way that these children are getting all these endorsements and they're instantly becoming millionaires, and mothers are prostituting these children to get the funds that are coming in. Now, there is not only just Gabrielle, but Will Smith and his child went through some changes like that. So I think they're marketing our heroes and they're going after our heroes' children. And somewhere along the line, we need to say something. And don't be afraid. A lot of people are afraid to even voice their opinion or say anything, but we're advocates for the children. We're not out here saying something for the benefit of Gabrielle and for Wayne Wade, because we're just asking God to spare them, because we know what comes with this chastisement comes all types of issues that they can be involved in that will take their minds off of this stuff and keep them preoccupied in other issues that they didn't expect. Money sometimes can cause a lot of grief and problem. Just when you think you've made a shipload of money, it can all be taken away from you. And with that money can come hardship. God said he give you the ability to get rich and he added no pain. Okay? You're not going to be shamed at because God gave you the money that you earn. But when you get money in the wrong way, you will have pain added to it. And whether it be pain with your children or society, you will have to suffer because you did the child a disservice. And God allowed you to bring the child in this world for protection and keeping that child so that he stays out of the public. And here you go and put that child in the public's eyes, he becomes a target. And they look to take their daggers and use them on that child because you literally made him a human sacrifice, because they will go after your child now that they know he's exposed. Now, I want to say something to the listening audience. Please give me the 2 thumbs up and let somebody know that I'm on, and like and share this channel. This channel has been around for a while. We're pretty much brand new on the YouTube channel because we changed our name from Omega 7 to Omi's Production Studio. So I would love to get you as my subscriber, and I urge you to subscribe to my channel. Okay. I am not out here alone. I have Omiinka and the tribe. There's a tribe of people behind me. You might not be able to see them now because they're ancestors, but I don't roll by myself. I never roll by myself. I'm not a lone ranger. I do believe in rolling with my communal family life, and that's the tribe. So there are ancestors behind me. Can't you see them all over my shoulder and behind me? They travel with me everywhere. They came with me when I first came to Earth. When I first came to this environment, I was told that my ancestors came with me for support and protection. And Wayne and Gabriel, you're going to need some support and protection. So I'm going to pray a little prayer for you, because maybe you're misguided. Maybe we judge you too soon. Maybe you need the money. Maybe there's some serious operation that you need to have, and you need this money that might be coming from the endorsement for this child. But I'm gonna pray a little prayer for you because you are my sister and you are my brother, and we ought to pray for one another, and we ought to intervene for one another because I'm afraid for you and mostly afraid for the child. Oh, Heavenly Father, we come before you today, asking that we lift up Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union and their child. We ask that you would put the child at the center where he belongs. He's very precious and very impressionable at this stage. We ask that you will visualize to Wayne and to Gabrielle that there might be a reason for them to go back to the drawing board and to make a better decision for their child and anyone's child, as a matter of fact, that that child be cared for and protected, and that he not be out here making adult decisions and crying in his bed alone after making the wrong decision. Help Gabrielle to see that this is a lasting decision that can weigh on her life for a long time. She can be held responsible for the whereabouts of that child if he runs away or if he is injured or if he loses his life. Help impress upon Wayne that that is his namesake. That child carries the sperm with him that will reproduce the generations of children to come, that will keep his name echoing in the atmosphere long after he's gone. God gave him a male child to reproduce after his own kind. Most men are dying, literally dying, to have a male child to reproduce after their own kind. You ought to be graceful and appreciative to God for God bestowing upon you a male child. Now help that child to become masculine. Help that child to become a man that you know he can become. Show him all about his body parts that he'll be proud of and pleased with. And if there's anything inadequate about his male follicles, show him that he hasn't grown up yet. And the things that he'll be able to do with that male phalluses are beyond consent. They are beyond this universe. And he'll be glad that he maintained and kept his phallus for the benefit of producing children after his own kind. We thank you, Father. We ask the ancestors to intervene on behalf of all of these issues that are besetting us, especially with Gabrielle Union and Wayne Wade. We pray their faith and strength. Amen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I had to pray that prayer for that family because I do stand up and advocate for families. And I'm concerned about both Gabrielle and Dwayne and that child because they're a unity, they're a triad. But what Gabrielle and Wayne are going to be doing is allowing that child to go far away from them. They might lose that child because that child knew better, but he wanted to see if he could get the support from his mom and dad. He was probably waiting for them to say no, but instead they said yes. So he's wondering, do they really care about me? Because most parents that love their children would not let them go off and do something like give their bodies over to another person to control. Because that's what's going to happen. They will no longer own their bodies. And whoever's out there lurking in the woods who are looking as a predator for these children that are wayward, because he will become wayward and he will not want to hear what you have to say anymore because he wanted you to stop him from doing this drastic thing. But because you allowed him to go on, you will lose a friend and a child. Go to your child now and try to speak to them and speak wisdom, words of wisdom into his ear. And take back what you said about we're going to let you do what you want. Because now you have to take the place of the parents and you must forbid this child from doing this until he gets to the consent of the rightful age of 18. Then if he still feels this way, then let him know you're behind him then. But right now, he's probably going to change his mind 10,000 times before he becomes an adult. And I'd like to thank you. This is a very serious session, and I hope you don't take this as being harsh. I'm not against LGBTQ. I am not against anybody. I'm saying that what is in order for the family. I do believe in the nuclear family. I do believe the child belongs at the center of the link. I do believe, like the native indigenous people believe, the child is a very special person in the home, and we are to utilize a child in the way that God has presented him to us. We are not to expose him. We are not to market him. We are not to prostitute him. If anybody's doing that, they're going to be dealt with by God, and God is going to come quickly and rescue these children. And that is my prayer. Thank you so very much for listening in to my channel. Don't be afraid to go ahead and follow me, follow the leader, okay? Subscribe. And also make sure you like this particular channel and support me in all that I do. And I'll support you back. Thank you so much. And do have a pleasant day. Oh, double. And Baba Booey to you, y'all. Peace.